And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite the Streisand effect because we wanted to do stuff that wasn't funny, and Lord knows we've successfully done that for over 7 years. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. And by the way, that is more true than not. And I'll prove it to you in a couple of moments. Good evening, everyone. I am your main host. I'm known as Shujin. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. We've got close to a full house at the moment, so good to be back with you. Making sure that we got everybody. So, from top left-hand corner of North America, Dalan, good evening, and am I wrong in the way that I describe it this week?
Given that I was there for the setup originally, no, you're not wrong.
No, I'm not. Down and to the right just a little bit to the Midwest of the U.S. Brigid, good evening.
Good evening, and it's no longer 0 here. It's now 3 or 4, which is an improvement. So it is not snowing.
Well, that depends whether or not the ground is at 0, because black ice is a bad thing.
That's true. It's not, and the weather is just doing its little seesaw act. I think it's a giant conspiracy by the sinus medicine manufacturers to get my money.
Careful how many times you say that. Somebody might start believing you.
Well, if we're going, from Celsius to like freedom units, swinging from like 23 or 24 in freedom units up to like 65, kind of does a number on my face.
Can't imagine why. Swinging off to the right a little bit further to the East Coast, UnrenownedTech, good morning.
Good morning.
And we know full well that he had to step away for the moment, like right at the worst possible moment. But over in Paris, France, Joseph is there and will be back with us momentarily, just in case he is actually back and he decided to wait. Hi. No, he's off. Okay, not a worry.
We can talk bad about him until he gets back.
Yeah, but we won't. You know why? Because we have standards. That's why.
He does have a tendency, to be fair, he does have a tendency to forget to unmute himself when he's speaking, so there's that.
Okay, yeah, there's that, but that's all okay.
At least that's all he unmutes himself for.
And he tends to forget his place in line in the horrible scopes.
That's okay. That's okay. We all have our little quirks that we have to deal with. It's fine. I mean, we put up with you.
I am not a
deal with
Ferengi.
Yes, well, that's
sorry. I thought you said quarks. I'm sorry.
No, that was a bad science fiction TV series in the 77 mid-season replacements. Trust me, that was bad. How can I prove it? You can find it on YouTube. That's how bad it is.
It was really funny when they went back in time.
Oh God, don't even, we'll deal with all that. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being with us tonight. This is going to be one of those episodes where we really there's just too damn much. There's too damn much that's on the serious and the heavy side. So we're just putting it all aside for the time being. We're just going to talk. We're going to go down whatever mole holes we go down because it really doesn't matter. And we're just going to try to, smooth into the actual, holiday season a little bit because we could probably use a little bit of levity for a change because, damn it. Of course, though, if you are joining us live, as some do, you can actually take advantage of the live chat, which is over on that side of my screen. And I've actually got things organized well for myself right now. I'll tell you about it later.
It's alive.
It is. Stephanie, good to see you. Phyllis, also, good to see you too. As a reminder, it's good that he said it's alive because we're also very glad to see that you guys are doing well enough that you're conscious and awake for it all. So, hi, and thank you very much. That's a whole other movie. We're not allowed to do that. DMCA takedowns and all. Some people wonder what I'm talking about. You can blame tech for that one.
And so it brings me back bad memories too from grade school.
Yeah, well,
because if you will remember the last name of the infant in the movie, which just happens to be my maiden name. So, yeah,
Okay.
I'll have to type out the quote for
It
you.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right now. We'll deal with that.
Yeah.
Felix is saying, you can see me. Should I cover up? Hun, Dalan will back me up on this one. Why start now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, so let's get things rolling. I'll get the 5-minute freestyle started. We'll have the horrible scopes, and we'll kind of go from there, because I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know where it's gonna take us. So
Squirrels.
yeah, pretty much. So with 5 minutes on the clock, and I did a little tinkering tonight. Your 5-minute freestyle is going to start right now. Economics. Wow, you want to talk a lot of stuff that we could just blather on about and not really know enough about. Yeah, that's an easy one. Anybody can do that. Everybody can do that. But now, see, there's a little bit of a problem with that, in that we kind of understand economics to a certain degree, even if we didn't formally take economics. It's easy enough to try to figure out, how much money do I have in my wallet versus how much of anything can I buy with the money that I've got in my wallet. We understand that part. That's easy enough to figure out. If you don't have enough money, well, generally speaking, you don't buy, because you can't exchange. It's a simple concept. Now, one of the things I've talked about before is that the truism that I learned from my wife: data doesn't lie, but statistics can. Now, people are probably thinking to themselves, well, no, wait a minute, statistics doesn't lie. Yeah, can. It's not a lie necessarily, so much as presenting the best face possible if you put the proper information out there. Now, this is something that can kind of happen with any scientific endeavor. You go ahead, you do your experimentation, you get your data collection, and you realize that, at the top and the bottom, far left, far right, you've got a couple of outlying pieces of data, and usually that's considered noise in it all. So you lop that off in order to get to the crux of whatever the data is that you're actually trying to get to. Which is not exactly a lie, but it's stuff that's supposed to be inconsequential. Now, there are those researchers that intentionally go after those otherwise inconsequential, otherwise noise data, to try to find out, why did that happen in the first place? Because, believe it or not, those outliers can sometimes be far and away more interesting. But if you take economics, which should otherwise be theoretically a kind of straightforward plus and minus system, I know there's a lot more to it than that, but just humor an old man for a minute. You have to start looking at different pieces. You pull on one thread, you change the way that the outcome comes out. You pull on a different one, you completely change it again. So where do you go pulling? Workers' wages. Should they go up? Should they stay stagnant? Should they go down? Well, that gets pulled in any one direction, and suddenly there's new things that end up happening. There's a surplus of money in some areas and a dearth of money in a different area. Different services are better funded, others are less so. And where that all plays out, well, you kind of have to wait a while to find out, because these things kind of take their time to try to weasel themselves around to a steady state, if you can even find that. But there are some things that have been shown recently. One thing that is damn near impossible to ignore. And one of the ideas is that something that has been talked about for the last couple of years, 10 years, I think, probably even a little bit more. Millennials are killing the fast food industry. They're killing restaurants because they're not going out to eat. They're not spending their money. So these people in service, they're not getting paid because the kids aren't going out. Imagine our utter surprise to find out that the statistics have finally been rerun, and the biggest contributing reason as to why that is because they don't have the money. Imagine that. The kids don't have the money to go out, to buy dinner, to have a night out, for entertainment expenses. And you wonder why these things are happening? Maybe you need to go ahead and take another economics course. Or better yet, how about just rerun the statistics yourselves? Because that's the beautiful part about properly done data. You keep running it over and over, and it replicates itself. Trust the stats when they come back time and time again. Episode 386 on the docket, Your Honor. That's a 386 DX, I think could be. Ragchu. Some people kind of wondering, all right, what does that term mean? It's a ham radio expression for people that just want to get on the air and just talk to each other, and that's, you know, and
No, actually, it was a good way. I have my niece and nephew over this weekend for the holidays, and my nephew was pointing out something that was very nerdy that he liked, and I said, "Wow, that's nerdy," and he kind of looked at me like, "Oh," and I said, "Dude, I'm a nerd. That's a good thing." And he's like, "Oh," and then we did a fist bump, and it was all good.
all good. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what is the difference between a nerd and a geek? I'm still trying to figure that
Okay,
one out.
may the force be with you.
That it's actually relatively easy to understand, and that is nerds tend to be very, very smart, very intelligent about one or many things. So somebody can be very nerdy about one thing and completely ignorant about something else, but they also tend to be a little bit infatuated with it. Geeks, on the other hand, refer to being socially awkward. It doesn't mean you have to be dumb, doesn't mean you have to be a nerd. You do tend to see the two groups around each other because there's a lot of similarities. You see a lot of nerds who are also geeks. Um, but geeks also have their own infatuations, but they might not be nerdy about it.
Brigid, look, let me make it much easier for you. There are two types of people out there. May the force be with you, and may the force be equal to mass times acceleration.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember which one is which off the top of my head, but you know what? I don't really think it matters much. Either way, they're getting shoved into a locker.
There are 10 times there are 10 types of people in this world. Those that understand binary and those that don't.
And then you got Schrodinger's cat over in the corner shedding on them all. I did look up information on Rafe Badawi. We have no new information, unfortunately. So as of the recording of tonight's show, it is now 9 years, 5 months, 18 days out of a 10-year sentence. We're still waiting and hoping for him to be released. We're really, really hoping.
Schrodinger's Rafe Badawi.
Yeah. No,
I'm hopeful on the living alive side.
Yeah. Now,
I'm just wondering if after the 10 years, if they will release him.
Probably not.
I
We're
Because
really close
if
to
he
that
comes
point.
walking out of that 10 years later with his head held high, it doesn't matter what they did to him in there. He wins. He's
Yeah.
lost 10 years of his life. But if he walks out with his head held high, they'll see it as a slap in their faces, and they will and they may actually find a way to retaliate against that again.
It'll be another Nelson Mandela.
Essentially, yeah. Except we don't have everybody here in the United States crying free Nelson Mandela.
no,
Well,
but
he's dead.
No, and we don't even have, we barely have it up here right now. But then again,
his family keeps pushing though.
We're all
Yeah.
easily
Yeah.
distracted. Jingle some keys. Ooh, what's that?
yeah, well, and our dear leader's kind of got his hands full right now with
Yeah.
really, really, really trying to save what's left of his reputation. And quite personally, he's failing miserably.
Yeah. But
You
you
know,
know,
If people
it's
stopped worrying about their reputations and actually just went out and did things, more stuff would get done.
yeah,
no,
but
no argument.
the thing, but Tech, you got to think. Well, of course, these guys don't think the way we do.
No, they don't.
They have to think about their reputation, because when they're finally out of office, they're not going to have anything left.
Yeah, I figured out politics early on in school when one of the most popular kids in school and I were it was just him and me walking down the hallway. We were doing an after school activity. We were prepping for stuff. And he and I were talking and he goes, I envy you. And he said this to me. And I'm like, what? How the hell does the most popular guy in school envy me? This is the guy that's got all the girls. He's got everybody who do anything. He could tell almost anybody in that school to do something, and they would do it for him. And then he explained to me that, he didn't feel like he had any friends at all in the school, that he just had people that were hanging around him because he was popular and they wanted things from him or they wanted to be seen with him. And I realized at that point that basically he's a politician without even wanting to be one.
Yeah.
And, I had spent time with this guy in various classes. He always treated me fairly. So I laid it down on him and I was like, dude, for the last few years, I've considered you a friend. You've been nothing but nice to me, man. You've never done anything wrong to me. So, you have at least me as a friend. And he's like, that means a lot. I made his senior year. One statement. Changed his senior year. He actively sought me out to sign my damn yearbook. That was weird. I had never had anybody come up to me and go, hey, can I sign your yearbook? I was not the popular kid. I was both geeky and nerdy.
Welcome
That's
to the
what
club.
happens. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and I wasn't exactly band material, but I was guitar ensembles material.
That's a different level.
We were slightly cooler than the band.
Fair enough. And by the way, over in live chat, Chris, is that our Chris? Is that
Wait.
It's Oh Dark Stupid in the Morning Chris? Which Chris is that? Because I have no way of pulling up whose account is on there anymore. I don't know how to do that. So this is somewhere. So you know what? Hi, regardless.
That's kind of odd. Why would it only give me the options to report, remove, put user in timeout, or hide user in the channel?
I think
when I
that
actually want to see the user, maybe see what they follow, maybe pick up some of the same interests that they have. I mean, the point of socializing is having the ability to be social.
Gee, could that be the same mechanism behind the new and improved dislike system?
No.
Pardon my sarcasm.
No.
Wait, is this why I have to? Is this why I keep getting the offers to subscribe to YouTube? So now I can actually see what other people are watching.
Oh, hold on, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Drop the CH and double the R. I know who this is.
Now I know who that is.
Yeah.
Hi. Okay, so see, the thing is, there's a different Chris that was one of our co-hosts. Thought it might have been you. So hi. Yeah, you know. See, if you had led with saying hi to Felix, I would have probably figured it out. But be that as it may, so hi. How about we get on over to the horrible scopes and we roll with having a little bit more fun.
Roll out. Roll out. Oh, by the way, I just gotta say this real quick. I heard the funniest version of "In the Club"
Oh no.
on a commercial on television that was playing in the background. It was
God.
done with dogs barking.
Oh god.
In the club.
Yeah, it's a
50
rap
Cent.
song. Yeah, by 50 Cent.
Oh, I know the song.
You know, it's your birthday.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah.
party like it's
It's
your
your
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah.
Gonna sip
I'll send
Bacardi
you a
like it's my
YouTube link.
birthday.
Yeah.
No.
Well, anyway,
No.
it is a popular song. Links in the notes so we can add it. But it's by a rapper named 50 Cent, and somebody did a dog version of it for some kind of commercial. I'm willing to bet I didn't see the TV. I just heard it in the background while we were having dinner. I'm willing to bet it was something like PetSmart or something like that. Because they have been doing some outrageously funny commercials lately.
I bet that was.
Yeah. So I was just saying, it just went into my head as we were talking about that. So
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow, so let's go ahead and do this thing. So
God,
we'll go
I got
ahead
this
and
song stuck in my head.
we'll go ahead and we'll get the horrible scopes for you. So for those of you that know what your astrological signs are, cool. Those of you that don't, make it up as
Roll
you
a
go
D13.
along. It doesn't matter. 12. You could roll a D13 if you ask your smart device to do it, surprisingly enough. I've actually asked it to do weird things like that. And B, yes, you could conceivably have 13 o'clock, but that's not, no.
But there are 13 astrology signs.
There are 12.
No, there are 13.
There are 12 lights, Picard. I'm going with that because
Whatever.
What is the 13th sign then, Bridge?
I have no idea. I had just read that there were actually 13 and this was wrong.
Hold the phone. Hold the frickin' phone here.
No.
Step back. Take a step off the pretentious highway there. Yeah, Joey, that one's for you. If you're gonna make a claim, and wasn't what this channel was all about.
I
If you're gonna
know.
make a claim,
I know.
back that truck
I
up.
know.
The
You're
squirrels
gonna
are
say
running
something. Give me the
rampant.
damn receipts, woman.
Squirrels.
Squirrel.
Right. Moving on.
Aries, that whole bread makes you fat thing goes for other bread adjacent foods, because we told you about that last week. For example, stuffing qualifies. Yes, even if it's stuffing made from mashed up White Castle hamburgers. And, as an aside, what kind of monster puts cheese in their stuffing mix? What is wrong with you? As an aside to that, it's only a 2-hour show. We're not going to get into that. So, screw you. Take it up with your therapist. I don't care.
By the way, if anybody likes White Castle, they should go on YouTube and search for Saturday Night Live's World's Most Evil Invention. You will thank me for it. It's funny.
By the way, I threw a link in there, so yeah, Dalan, suck it. You're up.
You sent me the receipts. That's all I asked for. You did good. I'll have to read it. Anyways, so I'm up. All right. Taurus. Now that the holiday shopping season is in full swing, you better start being nice to people if you want to be on Santa's good list. That you still think Santa is real isn't that bad. And we're not going to shame you for having someone that dresses up every year to punish you. But that you think those punishments are fun makes us wonder about you.
We're not shaming. We're questioning. It's different.
Yeah, again, we ain't got a kink shame here, but
Oh, that's a kink?
now that I read this and try to wrap my head around, it's like, my God, everybody's childhood is kind of icky now, isn't it?
I don't know. Bad Santa was pretty good.
Back when they could actually make movies.
Gemini. This week you have a free pass to use the A Sphincter Says What? This on people who use the wrong pronouns after they've been corrected multiple times. We don't want you to have to use this freebie, but damn it, we know that there's a non-zero chance you'll need to.
Victor said what?
And Lord knows I almost did.
Cancer Moonchild. Frying turkey should only ever be done outdoors with all the proper safety equipment. You did it outside, so point for you. Trying to use a garden hose on a grease fire just does not work. You should have known that already. On the bright side, you resealed the top of your blacktop driveway for free. Joe, you're Leo. Go. You're muted too. Go.
Don't think he's there.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh.
Sorry. I was having click panic. Okay. Leo, driving on snow while it's still above freezing is more dangerous than you realize. Plan on needing an extra 15% travel time while you slow down to save speeds. And that goes double for those of you who put on snow tires and think you're as invincible as Boris Grishenko. Grishenko. Okay, right.
It's close enough. He's not going to complain.
Well, isn't he dead?
Virgo. Plans on making a life-sized My Little Pony plushie should be kept on hold. Start making smaller by making a medium dog-sized MLP suit. You'll get most of the proportions correct and see what happens when a dog is more confused than it's ever been in its life. And buy spare sewing machine needles.
Yeah, again, just really bad visuals. Anyways, Libra, your music collection is in horrible shape. Look, you still have tracks you downloaded from Napster and LimeWire in 2003. Spend a weekend just cleaning those all up and gaining a feeling of accomplishment. A fresh pot of coffee or a case of coffee-flavored Coca-Cola will help.
That's a real thing.
Well,
Ew.
yeah, and the real funny part, when we did this one yesterday, I'd mentioned like, okay, Napster, LimeWire, dude, I've still got stuff from Usenet.
Wow, that's old school.
Yeah, but the quality of the songs I downloaded was actually really good, so I've had no reason to change.
Perfectly reasonable.
Scorpio. Yes, you could buy a DIY musical instrument kit, but why would you? Sure, it's an excuse to buy some cordless tools, but that would just make you the only tool in the room. If you want an inexpensive instrument to learn on, visit a secondhand shop. Just throw away the old reed and buy a new one if it's a clarinet or a saxophone.
That's a really important safety tip right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things do get kind of grody and mildewy and ew.
Let it go.
Sagittarius. There are only 4 basic essential public services out there: police, fire, ambulance, and internet help desk.
I'm so glad you got this one now.
Air traffic controllers think they have it bad, but there's no greater buzz than configuring some idiot's asynchronous DSL modem, even though he's running Windows 3.1 on a 386 with 4 megs of RAM. What we're telling you is, if you work in IT anywhere, send lunch to the help desk folks. They deserve it.
See, we did this one last night, and Tech actually understood the reference, and I'm so proud of that.
I still have the whole monologue skit through my head, and then they later on, Dead Troll did a one where they actually did like a whole setup where they made an office and they had a guy come in who was the intern and everything.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't work as well, in my opinion, as when he was on stage. When he was on stage, that was a work of art because all he had was the audience.
Yep. We'll make sure that everybody's got the link to that because it's worth it.
Hell yeah, because it's
worth
amazing.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, over to you.
Okay, Capricorn. Buy a bottle opener for yourself this week. Not because you don't have one, but because you deserve a better one. Specifically a manual one. That rechargeable one you were given can't have the battery replaced and it won't hold the charge past one twist of the screw. Drinking needs to feel like you've taken down some big game. You can do this.
Yeah, battery-powered corkscrew.
Yeah.
No, just don't. No.
I had a friend who had one. Have you also seen those ones that have the CO2 cartridge in them?
I don't understand why anybody would do that with the possibility of the glass fracturing and exploding.
Oh, I
in their
know.
face.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
my mom got me a corkscrew for Christmas one year. Largely because my dad was getting into bottling his own wine, which, by the way, yeah, you know all that talk, about well, homemade wine has no alcohol content in it. Yeah, I've got 3 hangovers that'll contest that claim. What? I was it was a 3-day celebration of my divorce. Give me a break.
That's fair.
But anyways, the corkscrew I got, it's actually it has its own stand. Like you clamp onto the bottle, and then there's a lever that has a screw on it. You push the lever down, and then you pull the lever back up, and it takes the cork with it. Like this is like a top quality piece of kit. I got to tell you.
Oh
See
yeah.
if I can find it.
Oh yeah. There's some really good ones out there. But me, give it a good old fashioned, nice and simple, Uncle Kage approved simple manual piece that you can use to jab into somebody's throat and corkscrew the vocal cord. I'm channeling my inner Bill Murray now. I should really not doing that. It's probably not such a good idea. Yeah, it's probably not such a good idea. It's up over to me now. Aquarius, I think it is. Yeah. Okay, Aquarius. Treat yourself this week. Instead of using so-called whipped cream in a plastic tub or a spray can, and what was the other name of that stuff, Dalan?
Oh, I wish Doc was here, but yes, as they call it over in the UK, squirty cream.
Make the real thing yourself. 1 part vanilla extract, 3 parts confectioner's sugar, and 48 parts heavy cream. It's best to do it by hand, but in a pinch, get a child to do it for you. They don't have to get up and change the TV for you anymore, so they might as well have something to do, right? For anybody that's looking to figure out what the actual recipe is, yeah, it's 1 teaspoon vanilla, 1 tablespoon of confectioner's sugar, and a cup of heavy. You don't use a cup anymore, do you? All right,
No, we
you know
still
what?
do.
Okay, well,
Okay,
a cup.
all right. If you want to do that, okay, run those back to me. What was the first one?
1 teaspoon vanilla,
5 mils.
1 tablespoon of confectioner's sugar.
I want to say that's
Probably about 15
mils, 15 or 25 mils. I can't remember. I could go find out.
Yeah, and then a cup of just
250.
heavy
250
cream.
mils.
Okay,
yeah, 250 mils.
Okay.
See, what I want to do is I really want to try Harvey's Bristol Cream Sherry, but I need to get a SodaStream before I can do that.
Do not put alcohol
No.
through a soda stream.
I will
find that son of a bitch that put Jägermeister through it just so you can prove to yourself, yeah, this is probably a really messy idea. Really shouldn't do that.
No, I don't like
Green is not my
Jägermeister.
color.
First off,
I was about to argue with you, but I've never that's something I have not tested yet.
I don't like black licorice at all. Period.
Yeah.
I in all its form, I can't stand the taste of black licorice. Even foods that are just supposed to be like artificially flavored to taste like it, it's horrible. No, I was making a joke in reference to Big Clive on YouTube. He actually points out you should never put anything other than water through the SodaStream because the sugars and other such things will clog it up.
Yeah. I I did that once with you know those Mio syrups you can buy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you try to add it to carbonated water, it explodes. So my big dumb brain thought, well, what if I add it in before I carbonated it? It should work, right?
No.
My SodaStream nearly exploded. I had to fight to get the bottle out of the thing, and then it was like 2 rolls of paper towel just to clean up what happened.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you see this guy do it, right? And I'll put a link in the comments so somebody can see the episode I'm talking about. He points out that you should never do this. Why it's probably the reasons why you should not do it. And his various versions, he shows you that look, you can see the foam. If the foam is too high, here's what's happening. It's going to take forever
Mhm.
to wait for it to go down, and so on and so on and so on. And he's lucked out on a few of them, of course. And he did even mention that one of them was a messy explosion of liquid.
My niece's
But a few
husband,
of them, like vodka, he did a vodka,
yeah,
and he said this would be great, if you were doing like little hors d'oeuvres and it was an initial kind of thing, and you were doing it in small quantities for a group of friends. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. But something like wine
Yeah.
with that,
No.
yeah, I mean that has an insane amount of sugar compared to vodka.
Yeah. And yeah, you got the
My
right guy. We'll get that. Do this and
my
then we'll finish.
yeah, my niece's husband did that with a bottle of Crown Royal. Yeah, he said it tasted so good he was able to pound the entire bottle straight. The next morning he realized that he really shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, the problems with carbonating alcohol is it goes straight to your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's another
rounding
reason
this.
why I wouldn't actually do it.
Yeah. Okay, rounding this out, Pisces. There is a non-zero possibility that the universe we live in is a digital simulation. Yes, that means that we might all be little Sims characters on some infinitely, immensely powerful computer. And if that's the case, maybe, just maybe, that computer actually has an NVIDIA Ampere A100 video card at its core. Or, you could just sit back and realize you've got about as much luck of affording that as you do buying an RTX 30 series card. I
For
can go
the
looking for those prices, but again, why torture myself?
the video Ampere, yeah, start looking at 4 digits from HP as an OEM device.
Holy crap.
Okay, so it's like the old oh god, what were they? The Quadras back in the
Uh,
day. They were supposed to be like the ultimate card.
they're still sold, and they're still also in the 4-digit range.
Yeah.
Those are your
Wow.
horoscopes for this week. If you enjoyed what you got, that's that's on you. You strange, weird people. You remember, you can always go ahead and bribe us, maybe. And as an aside to that, I have had the question posed: can you be bribed to make one worse for someone?
Mm.
The answer is
Yes.
yes. The answer is always yes. Because to borrow a punchline, $20 is $20. There's some people that know what the punchline is and what it comes from, and we're not going to talk about that because that would be wrong.
No job is too big, no fee is too big.
And we cover all 5 boroughs, so there you go. It's kind of the way that I don't know. Maybe it's whatever. Doesn't really matter. So, like I said, we've had too much heavy topics in the news, and we know full well that there's a lot of stuff out there. We know, and we also know full well there are plenty of other sources where you could be talking through, discussing, reading about, doom scrolling through all the stuff that's just heavy duty. And really, at this point, right now, I don't know about anybody else. I need something
We're
that's
over
a
it.
little bit less, heavy. So screw it tonight. We're gonna go wherever we're gonna go. We'll hit whatever topics. Don't care. Doesn't matter. But the point of it is we are not going to talk on heavy topics because we're just not going to. So I'm going to open with something really cool. Pornhub. And it's not where you think we're going at this point.
Pornhub actually is really awesome in that fact that they keep a large quantity of their statistics and aren't afraid to share them.
Yep, but that's not where I'm going either. Believe it or not, there is somebody who has an account on Pornhub who is using it to generate money for themselves by teaching mathematical, like heavy-duty college-level mathematicals. And it's working.
What?
Yeah. I saw a news report about somebody who has an account on Pornhub who is intentionally using it for a very benign thing so that they get paid for basically being a math tutor to people who are dealing with upper level maths. How friggin'
What's
cool is that?
the
Very cool.
catch?
The catch is you can't be getting tutored at work because you'll probably be locked out of the IP range. For anybody that's wondering, that stands for Internet Protocol. Yes, I know we're talking about Pornhub, but IP in this situation is an IT thing, not whatever.
You probably wouldn't even, depending on the company that you work for and the systems that they put into place for prevention, you might not even get a chance to visit it because it might be proactively blocked. Believe it or not, there are companies out there that what they do is they make lists of websites using various category systems, and then they sell those systems, those lists and such, to companies that need to maintain a list of sites to block based on certain categories, but they are not willing to hire a dedicated IT staff to the task. So instead, they get this stuff, they route it through their security software, and it proactively blacklists things.
Yeah. Or alternatively, they could just do it the opposite direction and intentionally whitelist locations, and
Yeah.
anything that comes up that is not on the whitelist gets flagged to be reviewed later. And it could be completely benign, like, oh, there's a new IP address that's getting resolved for Google for some reason. Okay, fine, whatever. And then other times where an IP address is going to come back and it's like, yeah, that resolves to a Nigerian prince account. Probably not such a good idea to keep them.
Yeah, I worked for a place where we had commercial internet, but our provider ended up purchasing a whole bank of IP addresses to help expand their business. Unfortunately, 2/3 of the block they purchased were still blacklisted in a lot of places because they used to be leading to bad sites.
Yeah,
Now, of course, those sites have since been gone, but of course, propagation takes a long time, especially if you're dealing with, worldwide stuff. And there were times where we would try to remote into a client site that we're supposed to work with, but because somehow we got switched over to this new bank, we suddenly lost access.
yeah. If I remember
And
right, I think we had that problem with HCTV at one point.
yeah,
And I remember having to deal with that when I was still working. You know what? It's been a number of years since they were in business, so it doesn't matter. The local ISP that I was working for when it was mostly dial-up
yeah.
was BuffNet, and great group of guys. The fact that we were using a whole bunch. Okay, you're gonna love this. Does the name E-Machine make everybody's hair crawl up
Oh,
their back?
come on. I'm having flashbacks from that shit.
Okay, E-Machines were
God.
craptastic. They were
Oh,
craptastic.
oh God,
But
they make Comcast look good.
okay, E-Machines were very they were very very cheap computers, but our web server farm and email server farm were all made on 386s running FreeBSD. And let me tell you, setting up FreeBSD on those suckers sucked royal. But once they were up and running, they were
You left them
rock
alone.
solid. They
Yeah,
were rock solid.
Unix and Linux systems that once you get done with them and then you leave them alone,
It's a thing of beauty.
yeah, at that point, the only thing you really have to worry about is when does the hardware run down?
Yeah.
Because when the hardware runs down, then you got problems.
Yeah. Now the thing that we're dealing with these IP blocks being locked out, like I said, yeah, HCTV. I think that we had to deal with that at least once. And when I was still over there, like I said, over at Buffnet, we had a situation like that where some people, there were a couple of web addresses that came over to us, domain hosting, I should say, that came over to us, and they were complaining that they were not getting traffic. And it was because DNS propagation had not updated, and the DNS was still looking at their old IP address, which was the blocked stuff. So not only did they not get any traffic to their website in a very, 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 very quick, which, I mean, just stupidly soon, but they were getting emails that were getting black holed and bounced, and people were calling them up and complaining, why can't we email you? I don't know, maybe it's our ISP. And we told them, dude, no, you're expecting things to happen too quick. God, I love technology sometimes.
Became an IT show.
You know what? Let me.
I
Okay.
think
Okay.
I'm dude. I'm just laughing at it. That's all I'm doing.
No, it's all good. All right. Let me deal with something that's actually, yes, it's techie related, but it still qualifies in the, okay, let's learn from this experience for everybody because of this time of the year. You know full well that we've told everybody countless times, please be nice to people who are working, customer service, registers, all that stuff. The worst tech customer I ever had to deal with at Buffnet.
ATT. Excuse me.
No. Individual customer.
Don't
And
name names.
I honest and truly, I couldn't tell you who the hell the son of a bitch was, and I'm saying this very clearly for good goddamned reason. Let me set you the situation. It is 2001, September 11.
Oh Lord.
Oh, great. I can already see where this is going.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Watch me.
Okay.
The
Challenge accepted.
The boss called us into his office. All of us into his office. Close down your phones. Come over. Because of what had started to happen. And we saw the second of what happened. And he told us all, and reminding you, there's like a dozen of us, maybe. Close down the phones. And he told me, put on the automated close, emergency close on the phone system. We're closed for the day. Go home. Okay. We come back the next day. This son of a bitch called through tech support and customer service because he was not able to do his day trading because the network hub underneath one Twin Tower Plaza was turned to pulp and data could not effectively switch out through New York City because of the backbone system. This son of a bitch called to complain about this and to get a refund for the
I
time
believe it.
he was down. Our wonderful customer service people did the math and found out how much time he would have been down and prorated him about 43 cents, if memory serves, compared to his bill for the entire month, and
Yeah,
told him to piss off.
Yeah, that's malicious compliance right there. The prorated 43 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
But
I
you
believe
know-
that. I've heard worse,
Well,
and I've seen
Okay.
worse. I've
okay,
not only worked IT, but I've also worked retail, and I have worked food service, and I have seen worse. I have seen a
That was
person on the floor who had passed out from exhaustion. Okay, they've been overworking themselves, and they passed out in the middle of the floor. And we're trying to get emergency services. And one of the customers came over and go, "Are you going to be long? I've got things I need to buy." And we said, "This employee needs medical attention." "No, they don't. They're just acting up because they don't want to do their job." We threw that customer out of the store. But, I mean, that's on par. You have somebody who has a medical need, and you have a customer who doesn't give a shit about a human being in need. Whether it's life or death situation or whatever, they don't care because they are so self-centered. They see themselves as more important than everybody else. Retail has and IT, and not necessarily food service, because I'll be generous on the food service side. Most of the angry people I've had were just hungry. But with retail and IT, oh yeah, people are,
people can be
as
assholes.
they say in the IT crowd, people. What a bunch of bastards.
yeah.
So I had my bitch out. Tex had his bitch out. Who wants to? Because let's get the one big bitch out of the way, and then be nicer. Because we
I'm so grateful I have never, ever, ever had to work at the helpless desk or tech support.
Somebody who's had to call in before and not got the help she needed, obviously.
Yeah.
well, there's
I
only so much you can
just-
do when you talk to the level 1 techs.
Well,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think the craziest thing I ever had to deal with as far as customers go was I used to deal blackjack, believe it or not.
Oh wow, I could see that. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
every summer, of course, up here we got the Calgary Stampede, and they basically, at the time, they were like quadrupling the size of the casino on the Stampede grounds because, well, no, I mean, they were bringing, it's a big draw, you know?
That's fair.
Mhm.
And
That's fair.
so also that same time of year, they're looking for dealers and they will train you and license you to be a dealer. And the nice thing about the license is it's not just for Stampede. If I'd wanted to, after that, I could have gone to any casino in town, flashed my credentials, and could have applied for a job there.
I honestly wish that other companies would train their people the way casinos train their people, because casinos don't want to lose money. They want to make sure that they get every single dollar that they can. Now, if every other company trained their employees the same way, all companies would have amazing employees.
Yeah. And there's also a ton of regulations behind the fact that you actually have to be licensed to
Yeah.
deal.
Mhm.
You know, those guys in Vegas are not just card jockeys, they are professional card jockeys. Anyway, one of the things we're trained on is what happens if there's a fire or what happens if something comes up. And talking to my pit boss, who was like one of the senior guys there, he'd actually told me that he worked in a place where there was a fire and the people stayed and insisted on playing until the smoke got so thick a couple of them were starting to pass out from smoke inhalation.
Yeah, because gambling can be a real addiction, just like
And then
food or drugs.
And then the other question was, okay, what happens if the power goes out? Because, you know, can we get storms here that can potentially knock out the power grid? Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can. What they told us is dive over your chip tray and basically turtle. because you know somebody's going to try to do the reach. And I mean, you look at those chip trays, there's a significant amount of cash being represented there, not to say nothing of when they actually also purchase new chips at the table. There's a box underneath, like we'll get cash, we'll count it, we'll count out the number of chips, and then of course we'll slam the cash down into a cash box at the table itself. So I mean, each one of those tables has an awful lot of money on it. So yeah, and all they said was like, just jump on or not jump on the table, but cover the chip tray with your body and hold on to it. And I thought, I really hope we don't end up with a power outage, because yeah, the pay was good, but it was not getting beat up good. Just because somebody thought they had a chance to get a couple of extra chips in their pocket. But yeah, the whole thing about the fire, and that these people would stay until it became a hazard to stay, and even then,
Dude,
like
again, retail. Because of retail, I am not surprised that we had, when I worked my first big retail job, we had, in the years that I was there, several power outages, and our rules were simple: power's out, everybody out of the store. End of story. There's nothing, because there's no shopping going on, there's no security system going on. Employees, drop what you're doing. Everybody that wants their stuff, they can leave it in the shopping cart where the shopping cart is, or the baskets or whatever, but drop what they have. They need to vacate. End of story. And if they don't vacate, we're calling the police.
Oh.
And you had people that you'd think that I had told them that they need to sacrifice their firstborn and, need to drive like a Yugo to work for the rest of their lives. Or that I'd kick their puppy.
Well, just imagine what would happen if stores actually, of course, this is a huge pipe dream, but imagine if on Black Friday and Boxing Day, stores remained closed. What do you think the backlash would be from that?
Well, I know exactly what the backlash would be, because I remember the women when it released for Game Boy Color. I think it was Game Boy Color. No, it was just for Game Boy. But anyway, Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition for Nintendo Game Boy. I was working retail when that was released.
Yep.
We had women with their children lined up around the store like it was a Black Friday event, and they were actively pushing and pulling and banging on the glass doors, which luckily were reinforced. And we told them repeatedly, if they don't get away, we're not opening the store, because, well, we wouldn't have been able to open the doors. When you put pressure on them like that, it actually locks them into place. So it took a half an hour for them to get away from the front of the store to open, so we opened late. And then when they came in, they were literally some of the women were dragging their kids, like their kids' feet were not underneath them. They were throwing their kids at kind of like battering rams. They were kind of swinging them around by the arm to get other women away from the cart that had the video games on it. And we had 100 copies of this, and we had less than 100 women in line. Didn't matter. You'd think that the one copy one woman got was the better copy than the same copy that all the other women got.
Well, of course, because it was theirs now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that right there was the first worst experience I had in retail.
Yeah. Then came the Wii.
Then came Black Friday for me.
Yeah.
After
well, like the Nintendo Wii, that was the first time I ever saw the crazy land on my shores. And sadly, I was also involved with it because my wife at the time wanted a Wii really badly. And we found a place. There was a Toys R Us that was selling them. You had to get in line to get a ticket stub, and then you could come back a couple of days later to actually pick it up.
Yep, I remember those days.
Yeah, so I waited in line for maybe 45 minutes. And of course, being Canada, most everybody was pretty good. There were a couple of jerks in the place that were complaining about the cold, and I'm just like, "You're not from around here, are you?"
Nope.
But I got in, and like, I make a point, even if I've had an absolute crap day, if I have to talk to somebody, I at least do my best to phone in that I'm being polite, because the person I'm talking with on the other side of the counter there, they're not the reason I'm ticked off at anything. That award goes to somebody else. I'm not going to take it out on somebody who's barely making any money, that probably has to put up with a lot more crap than most of us do during a day. Honestly, if you feel the need that you have to go off on a retail worker, you should not be outside. You should not be at
you
that
should not be in
store.
public. You should not be around other human beings
Yeah.
because you're not being a human being.
Well, a couple years ago, no, not a couple years ago, last year. It just feels like it was that long ago. When the masks were a thing at the time, I went to a liquor store to get some booze because
That's
masks
what you
and
go to
stuff.
what do you go to a liquor store for?
Yeah. So apparently they had some kind of a special going on for beer. And one guy came up to the counter and he had a 6-pack of ginger beer.
Oh, neat.
I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, but apparently ginger beer is not actually a beer, technically speaking. It's, I guess, a
Yeah, it's a
cocktail.
soda.
Yeah.
It's soda. It's good stuff.
Okay, well, anyways, Angry McStippleface Karen Boy here is going off on the lady at the till. And when I say going off, I mean he has gone atomic.
Yeah, that's when you get thrown out of my store. You're not.
And I'm sitting back there, or I'm standing because I'm the next in line. I'm thinking, oh man, I want to take this tall boy of whatever ale it was. I want to bean this guy in the head so badly I could taste it. And finally he comes up with the Karen line. Where's your manager? Manager is 5 feet away. He turns and he walks down. He says, what's the problem? And he goes off on him. And the guy says, this is not classified as beer according to our policies, which we've had for the past X number of years. Well, everywhere else I go, it's beer. Well, why didn't you go there? Well, because it's on sale here. But it's not. It's only beer. Like, it just round and around. So finally the guy left. And I stepped up and I'm like, okay, I have to be extra nice. So I put my 6-pack down. It was one of those build your own ones. Shujin, you've done those before?
Many times.
And I said, hey, how's it going? Look, I'm pretty sure all 6 of these are beer, but I'll defer to your system. And she looks at me and goes, you saw that, didn't you? I'm like, I was next in line. You all right? The lady at the till was the assistant manager.
Nice.
She hadn't been on a till in years and the only reason she was on is because of the backlog of people and this collection of protoplasm that passed for a human being. It wasn't helping things much by delaying by, having his little spurg out like that. So, yeah, like every time I see something like that, it's like, okay, if this person's being harassed or whatever, it's time to be extra nice, to try to, bring balance back to the force. But yeah, that guy, honestly, if I'd seen him out in the parking lot, I probably would have taken one of my cans and thrown it at his car. Like, I don't care at that point. It's just like, you do not, I don't care what freedom of speech or whatever supposedly allows you to do, but if you don't have any common decency, the fact that we're all we're all in this, no matter what you do, no matter what you say.
Mm-hmm.
People kind of misunderstand the concept of freedom of speech.
Well,
freedom of speech just simply means the government won't shut you down for what you're saying within reason, mind you. You can't go saying certain things, like telling you're going to make threats, for example. You can't tell the president you're going to kill the president because that goes outside the limits of freedom of speech. However, the other stuff like, I don't like the president. Okay, that's completely free to say. In this country, other countries have laws against that. So that's the real freedom of speech. Likewise, I can say, I don't like you. Now, the freedom of speech goes both ways in that the other person has the freedom to completely ignore you. They don't have to listen to you. And that's something that isn't taught because, well, they got rid of all the civics courses here in the US in terms of like high school and such.
Yeah, that's a whole other piece. I don't want to go down at the moment.
Yeah,
But
that's
there is something that I do want to do. Joseph, you're still with us there, right? I see that he's muted. There you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. There's something that came up in the live chat that I specifically want your input on because I think that you're going to love this one.
Oh,
Chris had said over here, at the data center where I work, we go into lockdown. No changes to the network or configurations the week of Black Friday and Christmas so that we can't ever take down the network and retailers lose sales. I absolutely love the idea that there is somewhere a giant banhammer over the data network that says, with big block letters on it, that says, thou shalt not touch shit after November 30th, you know?
Mhm.
And I just kind of figure, you of all of us who works with so many different computer
Guarantee
stuff,
that process is written in blood.
I just thought that you might find that one fun and interesting and have something that you'd like to say about it.
well, let's just say that before the year's end comes on, you better be sure that your system is rock solid.
Yeah. I actually have a couple of customers at where I work where they're introducing a new system, which I'm helping them with, and they actually can't touch their network. Some of them have a freeze starting on December 15th. So it's either a mad rush to get it done before that, or it's we enact special emergency controls on this isolated system.
And
The
that
thing,
costs money.
yeah. So I'm hoping I'll have at least 5 or 6 of them out of my hair by next week.
Yeah. Brigid, you've been lucky so far. You haven't exactly commented and chimed in on this one. Come on. You gotta have something that you want to go ahead and just, you know what really grinds my gears? Come on. There's gotta be something.
Well, actually, yeah. He's like, oh boy, here we go.
No. This is good. This is good. Because
I'm
remember,
actually sitting here rubbing my fingers together going, ooh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. This is going to be good.
because
I
remember,
participate in a couple of Facebook groups that have actually been kind of fun, but there seems to be a point of contention between the two because both of them are Gen X groups, but one of them is the older Gen X people, and another one is the newer Gen X people. And so there's kind of like a mini cultural clash going on in there as to who is really a Gen X and who isn't.
technically, I don't know where I fit. I fit into all of them, so whatever.
Well, it's kind of like, I don't know. Some of us grew up on, I don't know, like Billy Idol and Journey and Van Halen and Whitesnake, that era, and then the other people are more into like early grunge, which just does not really fit in with the whole hairband thing. But they're still technically, on the outer edge of Gen X.
Okay.
So, there's been like some little squabbling going on because of that. And so the older Gen X people. I mean, at first it was just one Facebook group that was just Gen X. And there's got to be so much squabbling in there that the older, Gen X that were born closer to like 65, 66, and 67 are like, fine, we'll just go make our own fucking group. Anyway.
With Dalan and hookers. And
I love it.
It's actually kind of funny.
Well, if you're gonna choose the hill to die on, I guess that one's not so bad. I'm just gonna sit back and laugh at the absurdity of it because I mean, for God's sakes, it's music.
I know.
Some
Well,
people
it's
like
also,
it, some people don't.
but it's also movies and it's also identity.
Yeah. Okay. So again, movies. Okay, wonderful. There are some good movies from back then. There are some crap movies from back then.
there's some
I know,
cringe
but
movies now.
it's
I'm
like
pretty
if
sure
you
we can.
identify more strongly with the movie that came out in, like, say, 1983 versus one that came out in, like, 1993, there's a little bit of a gap there.
Okay, but all I'm going to say there is that if you have to hang your identity on based on a movie that came out at a certain year, I'm sorry, but there's a lot more wrong with you than just that.
Oh, I know. It's just incredibly hilarious.
It's like whatever happened to when you could just go to a movie, switch your brain off, or at least turn it down to 2 as opposed to 11, and just enjoy the pretty colors, snappy dialogue, and the occasional explosion. Okay, maybe that's my own bias, but like whatever happened where you could just do that and then go home and go, oh, that was fun.
Well,
Whereas nowadays it's like, oh, I don't really see myself in this movie. How can I identify with it? How can I envision myself in this world? Like, what in the name of Jesus, Crispy Crunch Christ, do you need something that in depth to be?
well,
I don't understand it.
it's not really in depth. It's just kind of, I don't know.
no.
It was just kind of funny, and I'm
Oh,
in
no,
both groups.
I agree. I agree. I'm just saying that there are some people out there that if they don't see somebody on the screen who checks off every single thing that they are, they immediately want to rail against the movie because it doesn't represent them. And to me, that just feels like
That's why I call this the me generation, because
Yeah.
everything is about me and
Yeah,
my
like-
bubble.
I went and saw.
Why couldn't the film producers read my mind when they were making the movie?
Well, I have
Thank
to
you.
say that both groups are actually kind of fun, though, but some of the stuff that has popped up the last couple of days is kind of frightening. As in, are pleated denim jeans making a comeback frightening?
Wait, those were actually a thing at some point?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No.
In
List
the
of things
80s, pleated jeans were a thing.
No.
List of things I'm glad I missed.
And the other horrible thing that I happened to yank that I was guilty of doing straight out of 1983, a ruffled puffy sleeved blouse with corduroy pants
I
that
saw
is
that.
now on sale at Target.
I saw that.
Oh, dear Lord.
I saw that post.
It's true.
I saw that post.
Is it not true? You're close to my age, Shujin.
I
Was
remember.
that not straight from 83 or what? I Yes,
think it was just
you were there.
I think it was just a little bit earlier because it was kind of like a leftover from the late 70s kind of flower child look.
No. That was right out there with the tuxedo striped blouses with the bow ties and
Okay.
rat tails and suspenders and that whole thing. It was that.
God, rat tails were so.
I only ever knew one guy that had a rat tail that actually he was able to pull it off just because he had good hair, and everybody else just couldn't do it.
My
But
wife.
we're all voting on what trend do you not want to see come back, and it's like pleated jeans, members only jackets, rat tails,
Okay.
Rat tails.
shoulder
Just
pads for
don't-
women.
Anything but rat tails, please.
Or the mullets. We don't want the mullets.
No mullets.
No.
Mullets are just a larger rat tail.
My wife back in the mid and late 70s, 80s, reminding you that she graduated high school in 88. How do I know that? Because that's okay. Long story there. She had suspenders.
Mhm.
She reminding you that she wore them correctly. 2 in the front, 1 in the back, not the other way around like some Bananarama did. But be that as it may, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Reminding you that she was 5'0" her
Mhm.
words. She was also, depending on the day and the brand, either a 38C or a 36D or double D. Folks, if you know of some poor, unsuspecting high school girl who wants to go out wearing suspenders, who looks like an upside-down pear the way that she's shaped, please, please, for the love of God, please find a way of getting a message to this person to let them know that they should not wear suspenders over their shoulders if they're shaped like this. Don't get me wrong, as a high school kid, I would have loved and appreciated it. Looking at it now, don't do that to your high school kids. Don't let them do that to themselves. Please don't. Oh my God. Some of you are probably wondering, what in the hell is he going off on now? Just trust me, girls should not. No. No, it's bad enough high school boys are being basically led around by their testicles as it is. Don't do that. Don't.
Yeah. Well, I graduated in '85, and that thing from Target, I can guarantee you, came from when I was in high school.
Oh, that was high
I
school. I was
remember.
getting. I'm sorry. I was getting word that you were saying college. You graduated.
I remember. I used to have those shirts in several colors.
See, we're old enough to remember when you could actually get vinyl records on the back of your cereal box.
Oh yeah, those were cool, were
Yeah,
they not?
they were actually,
Those were very cool.
they were actually really cool.
But
I got
anyway,
something
it
to
was just a
really.
funny thing with the two groups, and the like, we're just gonna be splitters
That
and
is
make our own group.
that is really stupid. Dalan, why the hell do I have in my pocket right now? I found this out the hard way earlier today. Why do I have 3 Canadian pennies in my pocket? Honest and truly, I have no idea why.
That's a very good question. When's the last time you came up?
After they were
Discontinued.
dissolved. The hell's the right word for it?
Discontinued.
Well, yeah, well they would discontinue, but I mean they're no longer legal tender.
Yeah, exactly. You could, well, okay, if you had at least 5 of them, you could turn them into a bank.
Wait, they would
Yeah.
no. Last I remembered, they won't even. If memory
Really?
serves, they are no longer legal tender and can no longer be turned in anymore. I think.
Well, if that's the case,
They may be in circulation down here though, because I used to find them in circulation here all the time.
Yeah, that's
well, you
true.
see, that's the funny thing because, like, once in a while up here, if I pay with cash, which I do sometimes, once in a while I'll get an American coin. You know, used to get a few of them ever so often.
Hmm.
But from what I heard down in the States, if you accidentally, put a Canadian quarter out, they'll just say, now, yeah, yeah, Tech knows exactly what we're talking about.
Ow. Wow.
Yeah.
You're way loud.
It's not real money. Yeah,
Sorry.
it's basically not real money.
Yeah.
Oh God, they lose their mind.
Yeah.
I don't want a Canadian penny.
Yeah.
We
So
have
the fact,
Like, oh God. So I when I still had a register, what I would do is when I would count my drawer before opening the register, if I saw anything that was out of the ordinary, I put it under my drawer. So this is actually how I ended up starting my own personal collection of silver dimes and silver quarters and silver nickels and real copper pennies and such. I wound up also collecting many Canadian coins. I also wound up with a few pesos, believe it or not, wound up in my drawer.
Huh.
I have no idea who was doing. I asked management; nobody would own up to that one. So I wound up going home with a free peso. Um, I've had what was it? I had a Canadian bill in my drawer,
Huh.
and again, none of the management would own up to that, but they took that and they went to they had it exchanged.
That's interesting.
That's really weird because uh, which bill
Well,
is it that's
the Canadian bill I got when I was working overnight at a gas station to make extra cash.
no, that's
So I'm
okay.
willing to bet it was one of the overnight managers who was probably not very lucid.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
entirely possible. Dalan, when was the crossover for the plastic bills? That was only relatively recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been, I don't want to say at least, I don't know, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
It's still fairly recent, though.
Yeah, it's still fairly recent because I
I mean,
remember.
that was way after I left retail.
Yeah, and I remember all the yelling and screaming and whatnot that people were saying that stuff would melt together in the sunlight. But before that, were the Canadian bills different colors for denomination also?
Yeah, they've always had different colors. Like
And
the $1 bill was green. The $2 bill was almost like a rust brown color.
okay,
The 5 was blue. The 10 was purple. The 20 was green. The 50 is red. The 100 is a golden brown color. And I think the 1,000 was also green. I've only ever seen one in my lifetime, and that was a long time ago.
so it's entirely possible it could have been either a single or a 20 because green.
Yeah. Now, but the thing is, the single has been out of circulation for over 20 years now.
Yeah, it's now bills.
And same with
coins. Sorry,
Coins.
and same with the two. The $2 bill has been out of circulation as well.
also for a coin.
Yeah, they were taking aim at the 5. There was a lot of speculation about it, but they've backstepped on that one quite a bit. I saw the concept for the $5 coin. It looks beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, it's if I remember right, it's still the same kind of thing as the toonie, where it has like the silvery outside, and then the core is a different color.
Mm-hmm.
This time the core is blue.
Ooh.
And has a wolf on it.
That does sound pretty.
Yeah.
It does. But again, I think they backpedaled on that a little bit. It hit some backlash. Just
Bummer.
because the 5, well, no, the 5 is still a very common bill,
Mm.
given the prices of everything like that. So there's still a justification for the circulation of it as a bill.
Oh, that's fair.
At this point. If inflation keeps going the way it is, and eventually the 5 becomes, maybe more of a hassle to handle, then maybe they will switch to a coin. I don't know. But yeah, no, a lot of countries, and by that I mean the U.S., they've always joked that our money is basically monopoly money because it's all the different colors.
Yeah, but that plastic money you can stick in a bowl of sanitizer and, not pass along germs.
Oh,
amongst other things.
So,
Or if it winds up accidentally washed, it doesn't disintegrate.
Exactly.
Guys, I got a story.
Ooh, story.
Yeah,
time.
Shujin has heard this one before because I've told it before, and he also knows the person involved, sort of. Quite a few years ago, George Schwab came to town.
Yep.
At an invitation of the local atheist society. And so he was going to do a concert here at a club. So naturally, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go to this. So I got tickets and everything and went, and had a chance to actually talk with him. I have a picture of myself with him.
I've got that
Great.
picture.
Yeah, great guy. Absolutely great guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, during an intermission of his show, I went to where he was sitting to buy a couple of his CDs. And I had cash with me, and out come the fresh new plastic 20s. And he starts telling me about he was in, I think, Toronto, and he was at a bar, and some guy was, they were talking about the new money, and he said, well, actually, it's really good because, it's a bar, you'll get, people will spill beer on these things.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, you can just, wash them off, wipe them down, and they're fresh and clean. I said, but George, isn't that kind of illegal? He looks at me funny. He's like, what do you mean? Well, okay, you're washing it. That's money
Money
laundering, isn't
laundering.
it? He just looked at me like, I can't believe I fell for
Fell
that.
for it.
Yeah. Oh, he's honest to God, he's a great guy
Yeah.
to talk to. But yeah, the whole new money thing. It
I
was
gotta, I gotta remember that I really need to find a night where I can ask him to come on. It has been an exceedingly long. I've actually interviewed him one time.
I remember that. Yeah.
I've still got that recording somewhere.
Yeah.
I need to find a night where we've got a decent enough topic to talk to him about. I need to make that happen.
The first time I got to meet him was at TAM 2012, and I don't even think they have TAM anymore, which is a shame.
That's something I've been wanting to do a little research on, is sort of the state of atheist activism in the world over the past few years. Just kind of do a pulse, a check on the pulse of it. Because
it kind of disintegrated.
Well, yeah, because I mean everything kind of took a political shift a few years ago for reasons, and I know some have been trying to come back to what they used to do, but kind of once you go down that road, can you really come back and be that rational, balanced, willing to poke holes in people's claims after you've spent 3 or 4 years doing nothing but rage screaming at the microphone? Like, does your credibility preserve itself, or are you now just another one of those screaming Riris out there? It's you just got to wonder.
I know that as far as TAM goes, with the death of James Randi, I mean, that won't come back. I mean, that was his
Yeah, that was his baby.
Yeah.
And it was, a chance of a lifetime for me to even get to go, because, there was no way that I could afford to attend something like that. It was, the tickets were extremely expensive.
Yeah.
But that one year, there were some people that decided to give grants, to 6 women who, otherwise couldn't afford the admission to go, to try to get more females to, be represented and show up. And I happened to get one of those grants. So I got to go.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Again,
I don't
another
remember
really good
exactly
guy.
how much the tickets were. It was like $1,200, $1,500, some stupid amount of money like that. But it was something that, at the time my husband wasn't working, he had lost his job, and there was no way I could have ever afforded to attend anything like that.
And then Providence shone down upon you.
Yeah, I wrote, wrote this essay of why I wanted to go and all that, and happened to, get a grant. And I think that was the one and only year that they even did anything like that as far as grants. But, as far as my getting to go to that and meeting James Randi and, getting to listen to story time with him for like 3 hours, I was just sitting in the floor listening to stories of his childhood. I mean, it was life-changing.
Oh my God. Completely sidelined to that. We need to get you to watch Uncle Kage's Story Hour one of these days.
Okay.
It's not nearly the same as 3 hours with Randy, but I mean, okay, black humor warning alert here.
Black or
He's
dark?
black.
Black.
Randy's dead now, but Kage is okay. Kage's pickled, so he's probably going to keep going even after he's clinically dead for a while. So I can get away with saying that because he still hasn't served me with cease and desist order yet. So I mean, I'm safe. I'm good. Actually, Kage actually does like me, does know me. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he said he said I reminded him of somebody from NPR, and I wasn't really sure how to take that. And I think it was the guy who just got arrested a couple years ago or something.
Well, it was meant as a compliment at the time.
Right.
You know, like saying, you look like you look like you've dieted about as well as uh, the guy from sub. Okay, never mind.
You
That
look
compliment.
just like my ex-husband. Surefire conversation stoppers.
Okay, that's. I saw. Okay, you gonna love this one. Black humor coming back at you again. Um, I want you to know that the black hole of this ends up with my having a lot of respect for the Honda Motor Company. Know full well that that's where this cue shot is gonna lie. All right, just keep that in the side a second. We went out earlier today. Got to see my sister-in-law. We had brunch with her. So it was me, my little one, my sister-in-law, in one of the nearby towns. And as we're going back to our cars, I saw a car had a bumper sticker on it that said, "I hate my ex-wife." I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? That's an understandable sentiment that happens with a lot of people. And then I thought to myself, well, what about a specialized version for me? My ex-wife is in my cigarette ashtray. Okay, I'm allowed to get away with these because, I kind of get away with these every once in a while. And then I suddenly thought to myself as I get into the car, as I'm thinking about this, there are no ashtrays standard in Honda cars in a very long time now. And I don't have one in mine. And I never thought about it. And I'm very proud to know that I live in a car that does not have a cigarette ashtray at all, anywhere in it. So, yes, when all is said and done, I went from seeing a bumper sticker about "I hate my ex-wife" to thinking about my ex-wife's ashes to thinking about how proud I am for the Honda Motor Company. Whenever anybody listens to me and my radio streams and wonder how in the hell is it that he is able to do like weird shit to people, this is how my brain operates. I have no alcohol in me. I am not hopped up on coffee beans. This is just the way that my brain operates. No, I do not want any. I don't want any chemicals to try and help straighten it out. I'm fine the way I am. Thank you very much. Okay, that was I was anticipating something that would at least have given me a little bit of a. Okay, you're weird, but just dead room. That's okay. I'm obviously not reading the room well.
Still processing.
Don't care. We have jokes that we make like this every once in a while, so we're able to get away with that every once in a while. The little one and I, stuff like, "Look, don't tell your mom I said this, but what the fuck, kid?" And he's like, "Dad." Okay, yeah, that's fair. He's over 18. I'm allowed to, treat him like an adult,
Yeah. Oh no.
and he treats me like an adult back, which is all well and good up until the point where I look at him and go, "Dude, language." And he's just like, "Fine, that fucking asshole was the one that's pissed me off. I'm like, there you go, kid. And it's like, really?
Yeah, funny thing, around my family, I still actually end up biting my tongue, even though everybody in the room is, well, let's just say 18 is a long, distant, clouded memory for most of us.
It's fun.
Yeah, I still kind of bite my tongue around them and try not to say too much unless I am, 25 levels of pissed off, which, okay, that's happened 3 or 4 times, but
Wait. Are we talking the British English version of pissed off, or the I'm gonna rip your face off pissed off?
a little from column A, a little from column
Column B.
B.
That's fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, nice hybrid Canadian / where I grew up / genetics. Turns out my family genetics included a very short temper. Ask anybody in my family. Because, oh boy, has yeah.
The rest of you guys are gonna love this one. Dalan, considering your countrymen have a really bad habit of blowing up entire sides of fjords to piss off the Germans, you know what? I'm not entirely surprised that you guys have got yourselves a short fuse. So,
Yeah.
there. For anybody that's wondering about that, yes, there are true stories behind that. Sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Another time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and given what they do for real estate in some places, engineering just takes on a whole nother level. I think back to the Olympics that were held up in Lillehammer.
That's the graphic you showed me, wasn't it?
Yeah, they didn't have the facilities to do a lot of the events that they needed to, so they had to build them. But they didn't have a lot of room to clear out, for the auditorium and the parking and the facilities and everything else. So what did they do? They hollowed out a mountain and put a sportsplex inside. And my uncle happened to know a couple of the engineering companies that were doing it, so he was actually able to get on the site while they were building it. So my mom and dad were up there at the time. They actually got a few pictures of, well, it was a big dark cave with a lot of spotlights in it at the time. But by the time the Olympics came around, those hockey games you saw for that broadcast were from inside a mountain. You gotta give it to them for that one.
And it would take decades before Minecraft would be created to replicate that.
Yeah. Of course, I don't think those guys are looking at that going, you think we can make a video game out of this? I don't think so.
Lillehammer that would have been the equivalent of Pong at the time, if memory serves. So, yeah, I don't think so.
No, it was 90, 92, 94, so Sega Genesis at least.
Lillehammer was the early 90s?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
I was in university at the time.
I've utterly forgotten.
Hmm.
Well, then again, I didn't exactly keep track of these things.
Yeah.
That's like we've had way too much that we've talked through.
Yeah.
Brigid, Joseph, I know that you guys don't, just jump in arbitrarily, because you just don't just jump in arbitrarily, but I need to make it look like I actually care about you guys, so I want to drag you in by your heels. There's got to be something that you want to go ahead and, get off your chest, or make a funny, because apparently I can't.
I don't know.
This is I try. So
I'm not helping.
No.
Well, no, I'm reading what you were talking about in chat there about your conversation with James and Randy. I thought that was
just like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
You know what? Whatever.
And
Do
just
it.
one
Do
of
it.
those
Do it.
spontaneous things that, will never happen to me again.
But at least they happened.
I mean, at least it happened,
Yeah.
and it was just, I just happened to be, glancing by and just saw a couple of people sitting in front of, his chair, and he was seated next to this other woman. I don't know who she was, and I just, sat down next to the other two people and just listened to stories about when he was a kid. I sat
That is-
there, for a good 3 hours until I absolutely had to pee and just couldn't stay any longer. I had to go. And then
Yeah,
when I
biology.
got back out of my room, they were gone. But but I did get to see him again, before the tam was over, and I went by to go say goodbye to him, and he stood up and gave me just the biggest, longest hug and said, "I'm so glad you came."
Aw.
I know. I was just like, me too.
Now that's a special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had met him briefly in 2010, in Washington D.C. at I think it was crap, what was that called? The Reason Rally?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Reason Rally. Yeah.
And he was sitting down at the time when I saw him, and he just looked so rough and so intimidating. And so when I saw him then, I was just kind of like, "Hi, bye." Boom, I was gone. It was just he scared me. I don't know why, but he just, he didn't smile or anything. He just looked at me, and he looks gruff. But that was just it. Hi, bye, and I ducked out real fast. But then, after meeting him at TAM, found out that he was just such a sweet, genuine, wonderful, charming person.
Yeah.
Who used to get out of a straitjacket as a
Well,
career.
well, yeah, and I mean, I had remembered him, from when I was growing up on seeing him on the Tonight Show and stuff like that.
In Happy Days.
But I used to watch Happy Days as a kid too.
No, he was on an episode of Happy Days.
Yeah, I remember. But that was just probably one of the most, fun,
Which episode was
relaxing,
that?
unforgettable times that I've ever had.
I will find out.
And yeah, I did cry when he passed away.
Oh, funny enough.
It's funny because my husband called me, right when I was sitting right there, and my phone vibrated, and I, looked to see who it was because nobody ever calls me, and had to text him, "Gotta call you back. I'm sitting with James Rady." He's like, "Wait, what?"
Found it. It was actually called The Magic Show, and the IMDB page has got a thumbnail of Randy hanging upside down outside a window in a straitjacket, which for Randy is just Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's a movie reference, people.
I don't know what it was about him the first time I met him. I don't know, he just looked, I don't know, intimidating. He used to scowl a lot,
Well, it was a good way to keep people, away and not flood him, I suppose.
I don't know. But the perception I had of him was so far from the reality. It was just amazing.
Well, you put yourself in his place and the number of people he must have met, and
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably gotten to the point where it's best to look mean just to get rid of all the bad people or the haters.
Or just to have some time to himself.
Yeah.
Maybe.
God, I met the last comic convention I went to here. I was walking by all the different places, and the main reason I went is one of the one of the local fursuit makers here, the one who made my partial.
Mm.
She had a big thing there. She had like all her her iconic costumes there, and she's an artist too, so she was selling comics as well. That was the main reason I went, because I wanted to get some stuff from her. But then I'm walking around and I see this guy just sitting there, nothing on the table, no real no display or anything like that. And I see a business card, I pick it up and look at it, like, okay, I'll come back. But I think about it and walk around a little bit more, and finally I'm like, okay, I worked up the courage to actually talk to the guy. Because again, like, the guy's name was Ernie Chan. Now, that doesn't mean anything to anybody on the panel here. But for many years, I was a collector of a magazine called The Savage Sword of Conan from Marvel. Ernie Chan was sort of the tentpole artist for that comic. He wasn't the only one who did it, but he was one of the more frequent ones. How I envision Conan whenever I read a story or something like that, I visualize his version of it. So finally, I walked up, I said, Mr. Chan, and he looks up at me like, yes? Like, I just wanted to say hi. I was a fan of Savage Sword for many, many years. I have like 150 issues of it still. Dude breaks out on this great big smile, shakes my hand. But yeah, it's kind of intimidating to meet people who are your heroes.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty personal because there's a conflict between how you imagine them to be, because it's kind of, in a way, you in your own mind, when you're a fan, you think you know them.
Yeah.
And then you're finally confronted with the reality of, well, maybe reality is not going to be what's in my head, and that in itself can be kind of intimidating.
Yeah, there's
Plus all the social things, you don't want to sound overly familiar and all that.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of, and I think thanks to media like this, like through podcasting and stuff, I think that actually broke down a lot of barriers to that personal sort of look at things. Now when you can actually email an author or email a podcaster and say, hey, I really like your work. And then when you get the response, you're just like, what? They answered me?
Yeah. I had Julian Lennon do that to me one time.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
saying something.
I mean, I asked him a question, not expecting to get a response. And, he was the one at the time that was actually, administering his social media and stuff. And he actually responded back, and I was like, damn.
That's pretty cool. I think the closest thing that I can think of really quickly for me was the first year that I went to Anthrocon. And I made a direct point to walk through the dealer's room, find all the artists that I had enjoyed watching, and go over to each of them. Reminding you, this is 2007. Yeah, it was 2 years after my wife had passed, and the year that I was told you are coming to Anthrocon. I went to all the guys that I had loved their stuff, and I made it a point to go over to them and introduce myself and offer to shake their hand and to personally thank them for all the stuff that I have enjoyed. And it's so weird thinking about it at the time that here's this guy you probably don't know anything about, and they're just coming over to just give you a big thank you. Not to buy anything right then and there, but just as a thank you. And how freaking often that doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And the most intimidating of them all, believe it or not, again, for most people would not recognize the name, Eric Schwartz.
Yeah.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Yeah, Eric Schwartz is one of those guys who he taught himself animation and drawing style very much in the same style as what the old Warner Brothers Termite Terrace guys would have done.
Yeah.
And he did it all on the Amiga back in the day. And he has continued drawing and doing stuff. And that was really kind of intimidating to do that. And I fortunately have met people because of that, through that, and a whole bunch of others like that. And it's like, you know what? And it was not because I was looking to be uber fanboy. I was just looking to say, Guy, thank you for doing what you do. And it's been appreciated.
Well, and the first Anthrocon I went to, again, was way out of my depth because, yeah, I knew a couple of people. I knew a couple of artists by name, but
Didn't I take you to meet a couple?
yeah. But one person that I was shocked to see there was Matthew Ebel.
Mm-hmm.
I seen that. I'm like, wait, what? Now, backstory. I knew him as a podcaster for a show he did called High Orbit,
Mm-hmm.
where it was music, and I knew he was a musician, but I had no idea he was part of the fandom. So I walked straight up to him. I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? And we got to talking, and I mentioned High Orbit and all this, and he's like, and, we're shooting the bull about podcasting. And he says, well, do you do anything? And I'm like, yeah, I've been working on this and that. He's like, oh, that's awesome. And he says, are you coming to the show? I'm like, what show? And he took that one nicely, It's like, oh, it's happening at such and such. I'm like, yeah, I'm there. The funny thing. So I went there. The place wasn't really full, and there was one fursuiter in the back who was just bopping his head to the music. And hey, to be fair, it was good music. I had a great time. I think it was the next year, and that was when Witchy came with us, or was there, and her and I went to the concert. Holy crap! The place was packed. There were suitors all at the front of the stage, pounding on the stage and banging their heads to the music. Like it went from it went from the year before being, a pretty cool concert to this was a total show. And I mean, and it was awesome. He had fun. Everybody had fun. But just the shift. I wish I had a chance to talk to him that year too, but yeah. But yeah, again, meeting your heroes. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, it is. I had posted a video earlier of this little girl that I've been following that plays bass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think she's 9. And she's only been playing about a year, but extremely talented and, works really hard. But there was a video I ran across earlier this evening where she actually got to meet Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wow.
Nice.
And, she had been working so hard on playing, Baseline for September, and they saw it and, wanted a chance to meet her. And all she could do was just throw her hands up over her face and cry. And it was tears of joy, but she was just so stunned.
Well,
And then she got to meet Bootsy Collins. And all she could do was go. She didn't know what to say.
That's great.
Oh, well, really, when somebody
so
you go like, yeah, but then but when somebody says, "Hey, baby," what do you say?
Well, and he was like one of her big influences, and she just loved and she was, she had even mentioned on a Q&A one time that was one of her influences, and it was Bootsy Collins. And then when she got to meet him, all she could say was,
Wow.
and now they're buds. It's just so cute.
That is awesome.
That is legitimately very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph, we don't have very much of any time. Do you not have like, and have you not had an opportunity of meeting somebody that's like meant a great deal for you too?
In the fashion world, yeah, quite a few. But
Oh, wait
I
a second.
managed.
I don't know that I know this one.
Oh, I'm sure I've told you before. But yeah, I managed to get there because of my naivete. Because I'd be at a party. I just got off. Came to France from Canada, and I still didn't know the who's who of what. And I'm at a party and I end up talking with somebody, and it turns out later that they were somebody quite well known. Yeah, John Galliano. Well, Paul Smith, I knew who he was. Yeah, Jeremy Scott. And Karl Lagerfeld. I saw him all over the place. And what's really weird is that he seemed to genuinely like me, but whenever he'd see me, he'd say, "Hey."
That's actually,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
That is because it's that just reminds me of One Piece. I'm gonna if there's nothing else that's kind of pressing, I'll just kind of wrap this up over here. Was there anything else kind of pressing for anybody else? Okay, I'll take that as a no. The real quick one of it was, and I know I mentioned about the story once before, that Elvis Presley was given a piece of music to do a cover of. It had been already released and didn't really go very far because they didn't have a lot of money to put a first namer on it. But Elvis was coming into the similar studios, and they pitched over the music to him. He listened to it. And it's just like, I think I can do something with it. And it ended up being one of his biggest hits ever, which was Suspicious Minds, I think is which one it was. And
Oh.
forever after, if he was at an event and the writer of the song was in the room, Elvis made it a point to acknowledge him, to say hi to him, ever after.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, I think it's really important for us to always remember that. It's cool to have somebody that we would like to aspire to, a hero of some sort, but never lose sight of the fact that they're just people like us too. They've just had a little bit more time and a little bit more experience, sometimes a little bit more luck, but ultimately they're just human like the rest of us. It's probably a good idea to treat them that way. So we're a little bit, we're going to end up just a little bit over time, but you know what? I've had a good time. I've really had a good time. This definitely was not, this was definitely not a heavy show. And I'm so glad for that, because we've got more than enough other stuff that's pressing down on us. This was worth it. This was fun.
That's fun.
And by the way, over in the live chat, you guys, I have been paying attention. Which was the one that I specifically wanted to get? Stephanie had said, the reason I like this is because everyone is as weird as me.
And then Chris responds with, "I'm not weird." "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "No, and if you say that again, I'll smack me."
Yeah, that's kind of the way that works. So thank you, of course, very, very, very much. Thanks for being with us, and I hope, as always, that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives, and you got something to think about for the week. Chris, Phyllis, Stephanie, guys, thank you. Do sincerely hope that you have yourselves a very safe season. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that one right now because we know full well Black Friday is gone. Cyber Monday is coming up. The entire holiday fiasco is right on our doorsteps. And I'll remind everybody, like I do with all my radio streams this time of the year, if you have to go out, be gentle. If you have to drive, park away from everybody. And most importantly, just try to be kind. And don't donate to the goddamn Salvation Army. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I really should have been using my indoor voice.
Well, they are trying to get better, but I think it's a little too late for that.
A little bit. Just a little bit. Joseph.
Well, yeah.
Joseph, thank you. I hope that you have yourself a good morning, because it's almost ready to get bright again now, isn't it?
Well, the sun's just coming up.
Oh, that's good. Seriously.
You have a great day, sir.
You too, man. Thank you ever so much, and stay warm out there.
In here.
In there. All right, that's fun.
I'm not going out there.
Again, it's a 2-hour show, man. We don't have enough time to go into how crazy I am or am not. Another night, maybe we'll do.
Craziness is subjective, anyways.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Tech.
Well, and genius is close to madness.
Yes. Tech. Thank you.
Yes.
You have a good week too, man. You take care of yourself, eh?
Okay.
I love it when he just accepts the inevitable.
I made the mistake of getting on Kickstarter, so now I have to be responsible.
Pay him in Canadian currency. Maybe it'll work well for him.
Oh, funny you should mention that. 2 of them were Canadian projects.
Oh, we'll send it to you in pennies.
I can exchange it for.
Sorry.
I can exchange it for Jamaican currency.
Oh.
I was going to say, for any of my science fiction fans out there who follow anything by Louis McMaster Bujold, I'll have them convert it to Mill of Fennings. He knows.
Again,
he knows.
Loud. I had your volume set properly before. Why are you screwing with me again? Cut it out.
Because I can.
Brigid, thank you. You have a good night, and thank you for giving me all this stuff over here that I need to deal with when we get done. I want to get to sleep sometime today.
What, all the interesting things in chat?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
No.
So we know what you need to do before you get done. I mean, you're contractually obligated.
Well, if I have to.
If you have to, like this is some kind of an onus on you, you know.
Well, you just said I was obligated to because it's that time. And I was feeling charitable, but Okay, I'm gonna give a big fuck you to Lauren Boebert. And I think everybody can probably figure out why.
Yep, that's fair enough. I'm going to add one to help you along with this one. Not a fuck you to the judge. People are going to be able to figure this one out later. Don't worry about it. Not a fuck you to the judge, as much as I would like to, but a fuck you to the law that the judge had to enforce. There's some people going to understand that. Some people are going to have to look back in time to figure it out. and then you will understand why I didn't want to do a heavy episode tonight. That's as far as that's going to go. Dalan, 2 weeks in a row. Are you okay? Is the alcohol content going up? Is that what's going on right now?
Funny thing is, I've been sober as a judge for way too long.
We need to fix this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Send booze.
God, I actually was figuring that was going to end up being a joke. The truth is actually better than the joke I had. All right.
There you go.
Thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have yourself a good night.
Yeah, I think I will. It's been a pretty good week so far. Things are hopefully getting better. We shall see. But yeah, actually kind of in the middle of getting last week's audio now that I can actually finally get it without YouTube going, well, we're not quite done processing it yet because the hamsters are on strike. But anyways, that audio should be up at the podcast site over at holycrapthevlogcast.com soon, since I'm kind of in charge of that. And yeah, don't know when it's coming back. Still trying to figure out what I'm going to say in it, but still got my own little podcast over at the Kick and the Cast at kickit.yo5.ca.
Well, don't worry about when it's going to have happen. Just it's not dead yet. That's good enough for. That was good enough for that one person who got in touch with you. What was it? 3 years, 5 years after?
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm still subscribed, so when it happens again, I'll get there.
Oh hell! And now I've also got 3 followers on Twitch now. I did 1 stream, and suddenly I'm attracting people. This is scary.
You're welcome. It's all good. It's all good.
Won't give that one out just yet because, well, I'm not sure if it's going to become a regular thing just yet, but we'll see.
That's fair enough.
There is one thing I do want to say real quick.
Sure.
For those who are worried about Omicron right now, you can keep them at bay just by keeping on hand copies of Single Female Lawyer and Don't Eat the Poplars. For you Futurama fans, you get me.
Oh, God, I need to catch up on episodes of that. I used to watch Futurama, but gosh, I haven't watched it in years.
I haven't seen it, so it's okay.
Oh, Bender was like my hero.
It's amazing how many references he doesn't get.
Yes.
Bite my shiny metal ass.
Hun, unless you're in plate mail armor, they ain't happening. And I got news for you. Still ain't happening.
I took my girlfriend to the Ren Fair one year, and we saw female plate armor, the good stuff, and then there was the chainmail armor that was the suggestive, not real armor stuff. And she took a look at it, and I'm just standing there waiting for her response, and she goes, "That would catch on the sheets."
Well, what I want to know with these game developers is why is it the higher the armor class on female armor, the skimpier it looks? That
because
makes no
anime.
sense.
Because anime, and just leave it at that.
And if it's hentai, they have to have sex to recharge their energy stores.
It is the hidden D&D stat known as the Thies factor. Anyone that knows anything about costume design knows the Bill Thies factor. And if you don't, you need to learn it. We need to get done.
And just one last thing. As far as a whole, it'll catch on the sheets. All I can think of, again, AC 2010. There was a kiosk there that was selling chainmail lingerie.
Oh, wow.
And 2 people in our group, one of whom I actually talked to about it not too long ago. She still got a big laugh at it. We're actually walking around wearing their chainmail brassieres for a while.
Oh my goodness.
Happy memories. But anyways,
No, brain, no.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Brain is going into a bad place because, yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't be.
It's fine, Bridget. You want to go ahead and you want to milk this joke for everything that you want? That's fine, but
But
you're
it
gonna
was
have to do it
a
off
legitimate
the air.
question.
All of our contact information is over at holycrapthevlogcast.com, including the link so you can listen to the audio-only version of the podcast. Our phone number, if you want to leave a voicemail message, is 859-HCTV-554, 859-428-8554. I have not memorized it yet. I don't know why. You'd think I would have. Everybody, thank you very much for being with us. And don't stand near a magnet. No, that's not the problem. Running back and forth against the magnet would be. But we'll discuss that another time. And it is one of those moments where I'm just going to say really quickly, Thanksgiving is not just an American thing. It doesn't have to be. Thanksgiving can be every day. Be grateful for the people that you got around you. Because Lord knows every week I sure as hell am. So thank you everybody for being with us. We will see you again next week, and until that next time, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. My lady, 16 years on, I am still in love with you. Matane Fujin, I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone. As always, good night.